MaXXXine is the third and final film in the Ty West directed X trilogy, which includes obviously X and Pearl. Both came out in 2022. In this final chapter, the movie takes place in the 1980s. And in this film, Maxine Minx, once again played by Mia Goth, who also returns as a producer. Maxine is finally made it. She's finally landed a leading role in a Hollywood horror film. But along the way, her past comes back into her life, as well as she's trying to establish herself as a movie star in Hollywood. At the time, there is a character called the Night Stalker who is going around killing actresses in Hollywood. Also part of the cast, you have Giancarlo Esposito, who plays Maxine's agent. You have Elizabeth Debicki, who plays the director of the movie that Maxine is going to be starring in. You also have cops who are played by Michelle Monaghan and Bobby Cannavale, who are going after the Night Stalker, and they are going after Maxine to make sure if she's involved or not. Plus, you have Halsey, who plays one of Maxine's friends in the movie, and you also have Kevin Bacon, who plays a lead detective who's trying to also crack down and make sure where Maxine is. The film is an hour, and I also have Lily Collins as another actress in the movie that Maxine is making. The movie is an hour and 44 minutes and is rated R. Welcome back to a brand new review here on Max Talks Movies. My name is Max Dinenberg. I'm talking Maxine. If you're new to the channel, please subscribe and ring that bell for notifications. I talk all things movies, TV shows, box office, out-of-theater reactions, rankings, all of those things. If you like even one of those things, please subscribe, ring the bell, and get us to 230 subscribers. Comment down below. First of all, did you see Maxine? Did it disappoint you? Did it excite you? What are your thoughts on it? If you have not seen it, tell me, have you even seen the trilogy of movies, and are you going to binge them all and then go see Maxine? Let me know. Now, don't let me know your ranking, because on Monday, I will be doing a ranking video of the X franchise. I didn't review any of those first two movies when they came out 2 years ago. So I'm excited to talk about them just in a separate video. So coming in, though, I was excited. You'll get to know on Monday in more specific fashion, but I love the first two films in the franchise, just love. And Mia Goth has been picture perfect as both Maxine in obviously this movie and X, but also Pearl in that movie as well. So I was excited they were getting a trilogy of a horror franchise. You never really see that anymore. So I was excited for that. So let's get my thoughts. And overall, for me, this was one of the most frustrating movie watching I've had all year, because I was pulling for this movie to be just as great as X and Pearl. And well, I think there's a lot of greatness in the movie. We'll get into that right now, which is that the fact that the movie has a beautiful design, production design, costumes, the aesthetic. This movie takes place in the 80s compared to the two other films in the franchise. It has that distinct 80s flavor to it without being obvious. The way the movie is shot, the locations, the costume designs, it's all very strong in the movie. And Ty West, who has directed obviously all these movies in the franchise, does a terrific job directing this movie once again. The movie is so well made on every level. It's hard for the movie to not keep your attention, even when there's something not interesting going on. One other thing that is the most consistent thing about the franchise is that Mia Goth is picture perfect. She is must-watch TV in this role as both Maxine and Pearl, but really in this movie, obviously as Maxine. And she is so undeniable in this role as, for me, one of the most iconic horror actresses of all time. She has reached that for me. She is iconic to me as this character and in this franchise, in this trilogy. And I'm just begging for her to get a marvelous career spawning off of this, because she's so unbelievably talented. And that continues to be shown on here, because she's trying to move past the events of X. Plus, she's trying to make her own career now. She's balancing the traumatizing experience that was the first film in this franchise, but also trying to move on from that and have a career of her own. So kind of battling the past, the future, and the present kind of all at the same time. And that's all done through Goff's performance, which continues to be excellent. The whole ensemble is really good. Elizabeth Debicki is very good in this movie. She's a really interesting dynamic, which is that she's playing the director and directing the lead action, which is Goth's MaXXXine. They have really good combo. Giancarlo Esposito really stands out as Teddy Knight, who is MaXXXine's agent. Really good chemistry, really cool character. I had fun as well with Kevin Bacon, who's clearly having a ball in this movie with this very over-the-top performance and accent. For me, it worked in the grand scheme of the movie. And Kevin Bacon, you can tell he had fun, and I had fun watching him. Him and Goff have really good chemistry as well. They get a lot of screen time together, and he's very good in the movie as well. The movie is definitely fast. It's really energetic and interesting to watch. I was never bored or disinterested in things that were going on. But overall, man, this is a tough one for me because it's such a frustrating movie. There's greatness in the movie, but overall, I just didn't totally vibe with the story that was going on here. We have a serial killer Night Stalker as the kind of the villainous presence over the movie. I think what the first two movies nailed really well is that something was off from the get-go. Now, yes, Pearl is a basically villain origin story, but even in X, the opening scene, you know where they're shooting this movie and the surroundings, something is wrong is going on. And you're kind of on the edge of your seat wondering what's going to come next. And the reveals throughout X are really interesting and they keep surprising you. And it leads to me to a classic horror film. Here, I just didn't feel enough that there was a big enough threat going on in the movie where MaXXXine was in danger. MaXXXine was in serious peril in X, both because I don't want to spoil it. Obviously, I think you definitely should see the first two movies before you see this one because it is a conclusion of the trilogy. But when you get the realization of who Pearl is and the old lady dynamic with MaXXXine is really interesting. You just felt like there was something really gone wrong going on in the movie. Here, it just feels like we're kind of going through the motions a lot of the times, and the threat and the deaths that happen, they just don't hit as hard for me as it pertains to the first two movies. And I think it could have been brought together by a stronger third act. I don't think the third act is atrocious or kills the movie in any way, but I just didn't find it satisfying whatsoever. It felt very predictable because, again, Pearl and I think X are both very unpredictable movies because they're very unpredictable villainous and even main characters. But I just didn't feel like MaXXXine kind of got into the action as much as she did in the first two in X. And I just felt like the reveals in the movie you could come see. Sorry, I don't know why I'm muttering there. They felt very predictable to me. And the first two movies are so unpredictable in what the actions of the characters are going to be. And here, it just felt like you kind of knew what was going to happen. It wasn't mind-blowing. And then as the movie kind of goes on after that, I just wasn't clicking with the movie. And I was very frustrated by that because I love this character. I still love this trilogy, but this one just really left me more sour than a satisfying conclusion to a trilogy. Just the ending didn't work for me. As a whole, obviously the plot of the villainous threat just didn't hit for me that much. I just wasn't having as much fun as I was with the first two movies. So this left me actually pretty disappointed. It is far from a bad movie. It's so well made, so well acted, and there's so much energy and care brought into the movie. And I was interested in what was going on, but the decisions and the execution for me, especially in the back half of the movie, just wasn't for me. So I'm going to give MaXXXine a 3 out of 5 stars, a 64%. I think it was okay. I wanted it to be special and great, just like the first two movies, but they sadly were not. Stay tuned on Monday for my full ranking of the X trilogy, and I'll see you guys soon.